Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 121 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Previously, while exploring the fluctuation land with Lord Mo Man, Luo Feng had perceived the endless primordial space from the perspective of fluctuations. At this moment, perceiving the endless primordial space from the perspective of the Abyss of Destruction brought about a new change. The Abyss of Destruction, Land of Eternity, and Fire Prison Wall are the three major pillars of the endless primordial space. Missing any of these pillars is not acceptable. The Abyss of Destruction and the Fire Prison Wall, no opposition whatsoever, but instead perfect collaboration. Luo Feng felt. The Fire Prison Wall is like an infinite energy radiation spreading across the endless primordial space, allowing countless creatures to grow, giving birth to various resources. The Land of Eternity, like a stabilizing needle in the ocean, stabilizes the entire endless primordial space. The Abyss of Destruction swallows all that is harmful to the endless primordial space. It's like a garbage cleanup. The three of them all aim for the endless primordial space to continue its eternal existence. I can sense that the duty of the Abyss of Destruction, besides devouring the most intense negative spiritual power, is crucially destruction. Luo Feng could vaguely sense the Abyss of Destruction was always accumulating power, when the burden of the number of creatures affects the stability of the endless primordial space. The Abyss of Destruction might erupt with accumulated power over endless ages, forming a great catastrophe, affecting the entire endless primordial space. By then, 9/10 of the innate primordial life might die, ancestors not at the undying level might perish in large numbers too. Even if the source world is resilient enough, it might still suffer extensive destruction. Luo Feng could vaguely sense. This is a kind of self-cleansing for the endless primordial space. Of course, it only happens when the burden is extremely great. Since the birth of the endless primordial space, no destruction eruption has ever occurred. Once a master of the Abyss of Destruction appears, they can refine the cleansing of the endless primordial space. Luo Feng understood this. The one-time eruption of the Abyss of Destruction's accumulated power is too terrifying, indifferent to friend or foe, wantonly destructive. Once there is an owner, as the master, while departing the Abyss of Destruction, they can only borrow part of the power, and the destructive force is much weaker. If they do not wish to see indiscriminate mass destruction, the master will naturally cleanse the endless primordial space periodically. To erupt the accumulated power of the Abyss of Destruction in one go is also a great depletion of energy for the Abyss of Destruction. So having a master actively cleanse is greatly beneficial for both the Abyss of Destruction and the endless primordial space. Because being the master of the Abyss of Destruction is very challenging, there are multiple candidates, and I am one of them. Luo Feng realized, the Abyss of Destruction divides its powers into 7 parts, allowing for up to 7 candidates. Candidates can also periodically cleanse the endless primordial space. As for those who are weaker, the Abyss of Destruction holds them in disdain. Such strength is not qualified to periodically cleanse the endless primordial space. As a candidate, I also face challenges. He controlled the 34th layer of the destruction world, but other ancestors or lords could descend layer by layer if they are strong enough. If defeated in the 34th layer, they could also seize control from him and the world envoy, thereby taking the authority to master the destruction world. The one who occupies first has advantages, defeating me and the world envoy. Luo Feng smiled. Luo Feng could only evade the obstruction by the world envoy after he obtained weapons. After mastering the destruction world, Luo Feng had overall superiority over the world envoy. The latecomer must face not only the world envoy but also the cooperative efforts of Luo Feng as the master of the destruction world, making the difficulty significantly higher. Unfortunately, I cannot expel some hostile ancestors within the destruction world. Luo Feng pondered. Even though he mastered the destruction world, he only left a mark on the shadow of origin in the 34th layer of the destruction world. And the shadow of origin is just a strand of power from the core of the Abyss of Destruction. His authority is granted by the Abyss of Destruction. Only when the core of the Abyss of Destruction is fully refined one day, can he be considered the master of the Abyss of Destruction. After me, those closest in power are at the 26th and 27th layers in the Abyss of Destruction, quite a far gap from me. Luo Feng didn't feel too much pressure. Indeed, after understanding the secrets of the Abyss of Destruction, Luo Feng also decided not to give any more destruction fruits to Shoju, even if obtained in the future. Shoju's power evolved significantly after obtaining 2 destruction fruits. If he gifted her one, what if it caused a qualitative change in her life course evolution? Actively cultivating an opponent is not something one should do. Besides, are Shoju's promises necessarily believable? What would one do if she broke her promises? Ancestors have broken promises and flipped faces more than once or twice. In the past, Yuan and Shoju, the Ice Mountain ancestor, had such a good relationship, but later the Ice Peak camp also took advantage of the innate primordial camp warring against the cultivator camp, seizing over 100 world groups from the cultivator camp. When Wu Jiyu ancestor, the 3 kings of the Wind and Thunder Sea, engaged in plundering and slaughter, didn't the Ice Mountain ancestor silently approve? Even to reclaim territory, 8 lords had to issue threats of war stance before the Ice Mountain ancestor eventually returned it. All promises and friendships can become jokes in the face of time or camp interests. Rely on mountains, and they collapse. Rely on people, and they run. The most trustworthy remains one's own strength. Luo Feng murmured. At the deepest layer of the Abyss of Destruction. On this land formed by the condensation of endless resentment and hatred, a cave mansion appeared, within which Luo Feng had an avatar residing long-term, perpetually perceiving the fluctuating power of the Abyss of Destruction. The future holds countless possibilities, branching into numerous timelines. Some of these timelines will collapse, while others will persist. The Starlight Lord has numerous avatars, traversing various timelines, observing the myriad possibilities of the future. When a world on a future timeline suddenly collapses, it signifies the complete disappearance of that possibility. What's happening? This. Numerous avatars of the Starlight Lord, while observing the future, suddenly discovered something shocking. Why can I no longer see Luo Feng in any of the future timelines? The Starlight Lord realized this point. In all future timelines, Lord Luo Feng was greatly influential, often cited. Previously, only the Hermit was hard for me to observe. Now, there's another one, Luo Feng. The Starlight Lord speculated, there must be some special power concealing his trace. The true form of the Hermit was completely concealed. Luo Feng was also hidden from view. Luo Feng has been staying in the depths of the Abyss of Destruction lately. Could he have mastered some sort of power from it? Starlight Lord speculated. As the highest tier of mysterious lands, the slightest interference from the Abyss of Destruction was enough to make it difficult for the Starlight Lord to observe. Whatever the reason, he must have grown stronger. The Starlight Lord smiled. Before long, Luo Feng left some intelligence in the land of origin. More detailed information about the Abyss of Destruction. Yuan, Jin, Wulan, Minghuang, Nai Jiyu, Starlight, and Mo Man all saw this information. The Abyss of Destruction requires passing 7 layers of tests to control it, which is extremely difficult. The Abyss of Destruction is divided into 7 powers. The Surface True World, Destruction World, contains 1 power, which is currently under my control. The Inner Spirit World, Sea of Destruction, contains 2 powers. The Core Mountain of Destruction has 3 powers. Upon passing the 6th layer of tests, one can also obtain a power. The latter 6 powers are currently unclaimed, with unknown thresholds. Luo Feng shared the information he explored with other lords, hoping that if there should be another chosen one, it would be another lord. This intelligence shocked the 7 lords somewhat. The 8 lords thus gathered in the land of origin. Gaining control of the surface destruction world is relatively the easiest, but one still has to cut through 34 layers of the destruction world. Jin shook his head lightly. I've only occupied the 13th layer now. Obviously, just having a single primordial level Dao isn't enough to impress the Abyss of Destruction. Though I have mastered 2 primordial level Daos of life and death, grasping control of the Abyss of Destruction remains distant. Luo Feng smiled. Being able to wield 1 power is already very fortunate. There is still the advantage of being the first occupier. Later comers, even with equal strength. It is difficult to control a single power. After all, it is the highest tier of mysterious lands, said Starlight. After Luo Feng took control of the destruction world, his power increased significantly. I think our previous territorial expansion plan was too conservative. Naijiu said with a smile. Let's wait for Yuan to break through first. Ming Huang said, then we'll discuss it. Luo Feng nodded as well. Yuan's breakthrough will noticeably enhance the overall strength of the cultivator camp. If Yuan's primordial rule operation path undergoes further transformation, it can harmonize the strength of the 8 lords even better. The overall combat strength will increase significantly. By then, my plan can also proceed more smoothly. Just waiting for Brother Yuan to break through, Luo Feng laughed. Soon, soon. Yuan laughed boisterously. In the blink of an eye, more than 200,000 epochs passed, and Yuan was still cultivating in seclusion. For Yuan, over 200,000 epochs is a very short cultivation time. For Luo Feng, from cultivating as an eternal true god to becoming the foremost in the endless primordial space, the time spent is less than 20,000 epochs. Luo Feng's homeland, the Source World. The land of origin is now incredibly vast, with a total of 360,000 primal chaos prefecture of varying sizes. The lifespan of a true god is only 30,000 epochs. Over 200,000 epochs is enough time for the land of origin to spawn countless creatures, and many originally desolate and remote areas have also been newly built with many cities. In one of the 36,000 primal chaos prefecture, Shantan Primal Chaos Prefecture, in the main city, Tavern. The lord of this primal chaos prefecture, Marquis Shantan, was enjoying the delicacies, and the entire tavern staff was serving with care. I never expected that simply following the conventions of the Duandong River lineage, just leaving a legacy as normal, would change the fate of the entire Duandong River lineage of 192 generations. Marquis Shantan still feels how lucky he was. Including himself, all 192 successors of the Duandong River and their closest relatives have been resurrected. The Duandong River lineage was always a single lineage, but now all the past generations live in the same era. Who could have thought that the 193rd Duandong River would be the great Lord Luo Feng, and it was the legacy I left him? Shantan felt extremely fortunate. The resurrected Duandong River of past generations, only the 3rd generation ancestor and the 192nd Duandong River asterisk Shantan received special favor from Luo Feng. Because strictly speaking, the legacy left by the 3rd generation ancestor greatly helped Luo Feng, and the 192nd Duandong River had the grace of passing on the teachings. Other Duandong River of past generations only received some cultivation resources, and they must forge their own path in the future. Of course, some resources already excited the Duandong River of past generations. The 192nd Duandong River was granted a fief in a primal chaos prefecture. In today's land of origin, even a godly king needs multiple approvals to possibly obtain a fief. He utilized numerous resources to further step into the primal chaos realm. The 3rd generation ancestor, Jui God King, not only received a fief but was also granted a cave mansion in the galaxy capital city, along with numerous valuable resources. The Duandong River lineage stops at Lord Luo Feng. Thus, there will be no 194th Duandong River. Shantan thought. He is the 192nd, Luo Feng is the 193rd, and there will be no more successors. Although the Duandong River of past generations are scattered across the land of origin, they are all part of the same lineage and do communicate, occasionally gathering. They consciously maintain this group identity. Over 200,000 epochs have passed, and among the 192 Duandong River, 5 have become godly kings, marking a formidable force on the land of origin. The infinite world, as the first world born in the endless primordial space, has countless clouds floating in its sky, each corresponding to a source world, seemingly innumerable. The ground, however, is endless black soil, and from its depths emerge small snakes, precisely the infinite great serpent clan. One by one, small snakes protrude their heads from the soil layer, peering through the void to witness the endless primordial space at every corner. That Lord Luo Feng is too domineering. As soon as anyone dares to devour a source world, he immediately strikes down with one blade. My sister couldn't help but sneakily consume a source world, thinking she could return to the infinite world before Lord Luofeng approached. But she was still a distance of 1 or 2 world groups away when she was struck dead by Lord Luofeng's avatar with a single slash. Each of these small snakes is a descendant of the world-level primordial class Infinite Great Serpent Clan. To the Infinite Great Serpent Clan, the best resource is the source world origin. And the effect of consuming the source world origin is best for world-level primordial life. Thus, these world-level primordial infinite serpents are quite dissatisfied with Lord Luofeng. Yet they can do nothing about it. As the leading tribe in the foremost camp, the Infinite Great Serpent Clan has always been proud, but in the face of Lord Luofeng, they just want to hide far away, and even several world groups apart, they do not feel safe. I heard that the Inference Fire Ancestor went to negotiate with Lord Luofeng, and Lord Luofeng slashed away most of the Inference Fire Ancestor's true body, and now, no ancestor dares to negotiate. After all, he occupies the 34th layer of the Abyss of Destruction. His power far surpasses any ancestor. The greatest pride of these infinite serpents is their leader, Infinite Snake Ancestor, and the over a dozen ancestor-level existences within the clan. But they understand that even if their ancestors join forces, they still fear they cannot rival Lord Luofeng. Too strong. With one slash, he severely injured the undying Inference Fire Ancestor. Who dares to jump around? Anyone who devours a source world is hunted by Lord Luofeng, an undertaking that has lasted for over 20 million epochs. This has also caused some dissatisfaction among the ancestors, who secretly connect, yet still dare not start a collective war. After all, over 20 million epochs, to the ancestors, is just the time for one cultivation session. They can still endure. If Luofeng were still at the strength of occupying the 28th layer of the Abyss of Destruction, a group of powerful ancestors would have long since joined forces to trouble him. But now, occupying the 34th layer, the ancestors are also somewhat panicked. These ancestors are all unwilling to be the early birds, thinking they can still endure a bit longer. Let other ancestors test Luofeng's power. Explore the real situation of Lord Luofeng. As for over 20 million epochs, this amount of time, they still have patience. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Endless waves of blood ripple, and the mysterious land, Blood Crane Territory, has been renamed Galaxy Territory. In the solitary Galaxy Territory, there is only Luofeng. He often cultivates here, with blade light sharply intertwining over the vast blood wave. With his current strength, practicing techniques here is terrifyingly powerful, and only in this mysterious land can he enjoy its full deployment. At this moment, on the island within the Galaxy Territory, Luofeng sits cross-legged, draped in a black robe. This black robe is woven from the Power of Destruction world and Crane Leader's power, primarily black, with some red line outlines. Crane Leader's power accounts for 30%, while the Power of Destruction world accounts for 70%. Crane Leader's power primarily has the characteristics of Undying and Shadow, more beneficial for movement technique and defense, while the Power of Destruction world is mainly destructive. Trying to comprehend the third primordial level Tao is indeed too difficult. Luofeng sits cross-legged, a hint of helplessness between his brows. Even though his battle power is unparalleled in the endless primordial space, he still encounters setbacks. Continuously cultivating for over 20 million epochs does not tire Luofeng. It feels like the time for a mortal to drink a cup of tea. Outside of life and death, I also have a slight talent for the path of matter. Luofeng has chosen to focus on practicing the path of matter in the endless future years. An endless lifespan still needs a goal to strive for. I exchanged for the sharpest weapon, and while mastering the destruction world, I barely managed to defeat the 5th sculpture. Luofeng pondered, to completely defeat the 7 sculptures, I estimate grasping 3 primordial level paths is needed. The difficulty those ancestors pursuing the life core route face to pass the 7 layers of tests is something Luofeng does not fully understand. But for lords comprehending the primordial level Tao, it's estimated they need to master 3 Tao and require some external aid to hope for success. The third Tao, the path of matter. I carefully comprehend each branch, even sending down countless avatars, descending into source worlds containing the path of matter, traversing and comprehending. Luo Feng thought, over 20 million epochs, I have only finally comprehended all branches of the path of matter and begun to attempt fusion, stepping into the second realm of Godly King. Integrating all branches of the path of matter into one forms the complete path of matter, entering the ultimate realm of Godly King. This is considered the first stage, and it is the easiest stage. After all, there is the path of matter within the source world origin as a reference. The second stage is fumbling in the dark until reaching half-step primordial. The third stage is from half-step primordial to primordial material path. Especially the third stage, the difficulty skyrockets by over 1 billion times compared to the first two stages. But after over 20 million epochs, he is still trapped in the first stage, having just reached the second realm of Godly King. No wonder Ming Huang, Jin, Wulan, each one of them finds it difficult to progress in comprehending the second primordial level Tao. I now understand. Luo Feng smiled slightly. He is not in a rush, he was mentally prepared for comprehending the third Tao. Take it slow. Luo Feng was well aware of the magical time. In endless ages, ancestors would slowly progress, as would lords. The progress seemed exceedingly slow, but what about in 2 billion epochs? Or 200 billion epochs? Or even longer? Asterisk 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 asterisk. The land of origin, the first mysterious place of the cultivator camp, a mysterious place controlled by Yuan, which he also contributed to becoming the foundation of the cultivator camp. After endless years of cultivation, I have finally taken this step today. Yuan opened his eyes, feeling an inner joy. My primordial rule operation path's foundation is thoroughly established, and henceforth, I only need to comprehend more great Tao. Yuan felt very pleased. The primordial rule operation path, externally, was rule operation, but internally, it needed to constitute the origin. He had long conceived ideas, yet progress was difficult. The origin system of Luo Feng's primordial life and death Tao solved many of Yuan's problems, allowing Yuan smooth advancement, spending over 200 millennia to finally thoroughly comprehend his own origin system. The origin system integrated into the primordial rule operation path is considered perfection. From now on, only embellishments are needed. Sister Shoju, now in terms of strength, I fear I'm no weaker than you. Yuan thought. Compared to Shoju, he had always been inferior over the long years. Until today, even though Shoju excelled in frontal combat and Yuan in formation, Yuan was still confident to directly match. Everyone, I have broken through. Yuan immediately transmitted this thought to the other 7 lords. Broken through. Each lord, including Nai Jiyu, Wulan, Luo Feng, and Ming Huang, was overjoyed. They had all been waiting for Yuan's breakthrough. Once Yuan broke through, the power of the cultivator camp would indeed improve again. Luo Feng's strength was individual strength. Yuan's strength lay in formation, which could elevate the overall strength of all the lords working together. This made a more evident difference in the camp's battles. The land of origin, Council Hall. Around a round table made of dark realm crystal, 8 figures appeared, seated in their respective positions. Brother Yuan, with this breakthrough, what level of strength have you reached? Lord Mo Man asked, and the other lords also watched Yuan. I'm not very good at frontal combat, about the same level as Shoju and Starlight. Yuan replied with a smile. Starlight glanced at him, not good at combat, only equals me. Ha ha ha. Wulan, Jin, Ming Huang, Mo Man, Nai Jiyu, among others, laughed, yet they also felt envy. They had cultivated for so long, yet a qualitative breakthrough seemed a distant prospect. Luo Feng also smiled, watching this scene. Compared to other camps, the cultivator camp had the advantage of being much more united. I have cultivated the longest. Yuan gazed at his companions. When you all cultivate to a similar extent as I have, I'm sure you'll also break through. Hopefully, as you say, Yuan, Jin sighed, of the 8 lords, I'm second in age only to you, hoping that in the near future, I too can break through. Starlight laughed, let's discuss our next plan now. Since Brother Yuan has broken through, our cultivator camp's overall strength has improved, and we should expand territories to protect more source worlds. For the past 20,000 millennia, it has been Luofeng traversing the endless primordial space, slaying source world devourers, and deterring the innate primordial life. But those ancestors can endure for a short time. Over time, they will erupt. Nijiu stated, the best way is to outright occupy a large swath of territory, making those source worlds nominally our domain, and letting those innate primordial lives give up completely. Which territories do you think we should occupy? Wulan asked. Some good territories are mainly occupied by the innate primordial camp and Ice Peak camp, and taking them would make us their enemies. With Luofeng here, combined with Yuan's formation commanding power, does the Ice Peak camp dare to contend with us? Jin remarked, our strength thoroughly suppresses them, and we should occupy more extensive territories. I believe our target this time should be to expand to at least 8,000 world groups. 8,000 world groups is quite troublesome, Mo Man frowned. After all, our 3,600 world groups are the densest territories. Other territories' world groups are relatively sparse. I think expanding to 6,000 world groups is quite an achievement. 8,000 world groups impose substantial pressure, needing to occupy nearly half of the territory. Ming Huang also shook his head. The 3,600 world groups occupy about 1/10 of the territory primarily because those world groups are densest there. World groups, however, represent nearly half the territory. We have too few lords, Starlight also stated. Forcibly occupying would be hard to defend and could force the Ice Peak camp and innate primordial camp to ally. I think occupying 5,000 world groups is enough. Luofeng suddenly spoke. The 7 lords fixated on Luofeng. With Luofeng's current strength, his influence within the cultivator camp was naturally significant. 5,000 world groups. Jin couldn't help but comment, isn't that too few? Starlight watched this scenario unfold. It is a bit too few, Luofeng nodded, hence, the innate primordial camp, Ice Peak camp, and other forces must compensate by handing over all their source worlds within their territories for us to govern. All source worlds? Yuan's eyes lit up upon hearing this. This was indeed his ultimate goal. The other lords also held their breath. I agree. Ming Huang's eyes lit up as she spoke. We have been too cautious before. With our current strength, we can completely occupy all source worlds in the endless primordial space. Luofeng nodded. We are most concerned with the source worlds, but the innate primordial life forms care about all evolutionary resources, and the source worlds are just one of those resources. Wulan laughed heartily. Different innate primordial life forms have different needs, and some races don't need the source worlds that much. We could just focus on source worlds and abandon other resources. Many innate primordial life races would be willing. The hostility from innate primordial life forms will be significantly reduced. Yuan agreed. This is also a strategy to divide the enemies. If we expand our territory on a large scale and occupy everything including the source worlds, many ancestors might join forces. The innate primordial camp and Ice Peak camp, along with some weaker forces, might unite. If we only want the source worlds, those races that don't really need them wouldn't fight desperately. We lords focus mainly on enlightenment, Luofeng stated. Those evolutionary resources are of little use to us. Making the entire world oppose us for those resources is pointless. After all, there are still some undying existences. If we push too hard, the undying existences might fight to the death with the cultivator camp, which would be unbearable for us. Luofeng, do you think expanding to over 5,000 world groups is to occupy this region? Starlight Lord waved his hand, and a space-time map of the endless primordial space appeared in mid-air, delineating a region comparable to the cultivator camp's territory. Luofeng nodded. This region has 1,600 world groups, and its world group density is only second to our current territory. Once occupied, we'll have 2/10 of the valuable territory in the endless primordial space. Considering that future generations in the cultivator camp will need some resources, 2/10 of the territory is sufficient. The present lords also nodded. This region can barely accommodate a space-time network. Starlight Lord looked at it and nodded slightly, but the difficulty is considerably higher than our current cultivator camp. The territories are comparable. One area has 3,600 world groups, and another area has 1,600 world groups with large barren dark areas, making the spacetime network more difficult to establish. We must occupy this region. Yuan spoke, we need to sufficiently threaten the innate primordial camp. If they don't agree to hand over all source worlds, we'll continue expanding our territory. Choose one of the two. Starlight Lord smiled and nodded. They are likely to prefer handing over all source worlds, though the Infinite Great Serpent Clan will fiercely resist. For the Infinite Great Serpent Clan, the source world origin is what they need the most. Mo Man also laughed. As long as the innate primordial species is internally divided, only the Infinite Great Serpent Clan will not make a big impact. First occupy the 1,600 world groups to intimidate the innate primordial camp and all other forces. Then proceed to negotiate, using non-expansion as a condition to exchange for all source worlds. Yuan looked at the other lords. Does everyone agree? Agree. Agree. Jin, Wulan, Ming Huang, Nai Jiyu, Starlight Lord, Mo Man, and Luo Feng all agreed. Absolutely occupy 2/10 of the territory, and then command all source worlds within the remaining territory. All 8 lords thought it was sufficient. Starlight Lord, please perfect the plan. Yuan looked at Starlight Lord. Once the detailed plan is confirmed, we'll start the operation. All right. Starlight Lord nodded. He would consider countless future possibilities and devise a plan with the highest chance of success. Let's start by rehearsing the cooperative techniques. Yuan looked at the 7 lords. I need to create several formations that suit everyone. Ha, I've long wanted to see how strong Yuan and Luo Feng have become now. Wulan laughed. Then let's begin. Jin was also quite expectant. The 8 lords all used only a weak avatar, 1/10 energy reserve, to rehearse their cooperation in the Land of Origin. The Land of Origin, as the mysterious land, couldn't withstand the full force training of the 8 lords' main avatars. This rehearsal also astonished the other 7 lords with Luo Feng's strength. Yuan's formation also reached an incredible level, more perfect than before, maximizing collective strength. This made the lords very confident. The 20th layer of the Abyss of Destruction. Ice Peak Ancestor, who had turned into a towering ice mountain, sensed Yuan suddenly entering his lair, causing Ice Peak Ancestor to naturally open his eyes and look at the familiar figure with curiosity. Brother Yuan. Ice Peak Ancestor looked at Yuan. Was Yuan going to challenge him? Just passing by. Yuan smiled slightly and then continued to advance into deeper spaces. Ice Peak Ancestor was a bit stunned. What's going on? Both the Infinite Snake Ancestor on the 21st layer and the Demon Ruins on the 22nd layer saw Yuan rush past, entering deeper layers. This made some ancestors in the endless primordial space begin to notice Yuan. The 23rd to 25th layers were ownerless. Once you enter, you are sure to face attacks from world envoys. Boom! Yuan walked leisurely, with formations enveloping all directions, rendering the attacks of the world envoys unable to touch Yuan. Those world envoys were lost within the formations, and their attacks deviated in direction. Yuan very calmly passed through the 23rd layer and the 24th layer, finally leaving a mark on the shadow of origin at the 25th layer. What? How is this possible? All factions were dumbfounded. The power dynamic in the Abyss of Destruction was that Luo Feng occupied the unique 34th layer, Shoju and Starlight Lord respectively occupied the 27th and 26th layers belonging to the second tier, followed by Demon Ruins, Infinite Snake Ancestor, Ice Peak, and Yuan in the 22nd layer and some weaker layers. But now Yuan easily occupied the 25th layer. Judging by the battle scene, Yuan clearly wasn't giving his best. In the endless primordial space, among the top 4 in direct strength, the cultivator camp occupies 3 positions. Mastering the primordial level Dao, is the advantage really that great? Countless ancestors felt uneasy in their hearts. The endless primordial space has over 200 ancestors, yet only 8 lords. However, once these 8 lords achieved their position, they became undying, and their direct power was so formidable. We ancestors have also fallen throughout history. Those who survive to this day are already quite formidable. But even the weakest of these 8 lords are among the top 20 in strength. Although in terms of numbers and overall strength, all innate primordial ancestors united are stronger. After all, there are over 200 ancestors. But individually, the gap is considerable. It seems that there are the cultivator camp, innate primordial camp, ice peak camp, and some weaker forces, but in terms of life, there are essentially 2 categories. One category is the creatures from the source world who have cultivated to lords. Only 8. The other category is the ancestors achieved by innate primordial life, totaling over 200. There are 22 who are undying and undying. Yuan's easy conquest of the 25th layer of the Abyss of Destruction indeed stimulated all the ancestors. 27th layer. Shoju watched the familiar figure approach her layer. Big Sister Shoju. Yuan smiled at Shoju. Did not expect the little guy from back then to catch up to me now. Shoju looked at Yuan. Come, let me see your techniques. Yuan nodded. A great battle erupted, as numerous ancestors and lords watched this battle from afar. Shoju still possessed a might that made all sides' hearts tremble, while Yuan's formation seemed like the heavens and earth, enduring all attacks and counter-attacking. This confrontation ultimately ended in a draw. Shoju could not threaten Yuan, who was protected by layers of formation. Yuan's attacks also could not harm Shoju. Shoju looked at Yuan and transmitted, "Did Luo Feng tell you about the destruction fruit?" Yuan was startled. He knew about the destruction fruit from the intelligence Luo Feng provided, but was not aware of Shoju's former proposal. "I'll ask Luo Feng," Yuan responded. Soon after contacting Luo Feng privately, Yuan understood the entire situation. "Big Sister Shoju, have you agreed to fully join the cultivator camp?" Yuan transmitted, "Even if it means being at odds with the Ice Peak ancestor and all innate primordial life ancestors, will you still stand with us forever?" "I didn't say I would join you, I said I would fully support you." Shoju transmitted, "I can help you deal with the innate primordial camp. Even if you oppose the Ice Peak camp, I can remain neutral." Yuan gently shook his head. He understood Shoju too well. Shoju, at her core, is very cold-hearted and can be completely ruthless except towards the Ice Mountain. Luo Feng said he has already exchanged the destruction fruit for treasures, so there's none left. Yuan said, and then turned to leave. Exchanged for treasures, none left? Shoju was taken aback. In the Mountain of Destruction, she could only defeat 2 statues. The third statue completely overwhelmed her, leaving her without any hope of victory. Kafu's destruction fruit had long been exchanged for battle armor, and Luo Feng's was her only hope to obtain a destruction fruit. With his strength in occupying the 34th layer, even if all destruction fruits are exchanged for treasures, the obtained treasures could greatly boost his strength, possibly allowing him to defeat another statue and obtain another fruit. Shoju thought. In Shoju's view, the possibility that Luo Feng possesses at least one destruction fruit is very high. Land of Origin. The 8 lords gathered Avatar for the main battle. Shoju mentioned to Luo Feng, and now to me, about the destruction fruit. Yuan was somewhat worried, looking at Starlight. From what I know of her, she clearly desires this destruction fruit very much. Brother Yuan, don't let emotions cloud your judgment. Starlight shook his head. Shoju's nature is very cold and ruthless. Even if she gets one destruction fruit, she will still desire a second one. She won't serve us forever just for one fruit. Luo Feng listened on the side. After mastering the destruction world, he indeed defeated the 5th statue and can still exchange for one destruction fruit. But Luo Feng does not trust Shoju, nor does he want to cultivate a competitor. For this operation, we need to face many ancestors, a group of undying and undying beings. As for Shoju, don't think too much. Starlight said. Everyone present nodded. They were all aware of the detailed action plan. Yuan smiled, then let's set off and first take the 1,600 world group. Luo Feng, when the time comes, be ruthless, just as you did when you slashed me. Wulan laughed, previously split in 2 during a spar to feel Luo Feng's blade of all things can be cut. Rest assured. Killing intent brewed in Luo Feng's heart. When sparring with the Lords, he had been very restrained. After mastering Destruction World, he had not yet fought a full-strength opponent. This time, he should be able to fight to his heart's content. This time will be very interesting. Mo Man smiled. I can't wait. Jin's battle intent surged. Ming Huang smiled slightly, while Nai Gu's eyes were filled with bloodlust. Starlight Lord controlled time and space, carrying Yuan, Wulan, Ming Huang, Nai Gu, Starlight, Mo Man, and Luo Feng on their mission together. The 8 lords left the land of origin together and headed straight to their target territory. They must fight. Because the negotiating objects of the cultivator camp are not only the innate primordial camp but also the Ice Peak camp and many smaller factions. They want all source worlds within the domain of every power. Must display enough power. That's the key to advancing the plan. Starlight said, getting all factions to agree is not an easy task. Ha, let's have a good battle. Wulan's eyes were fervent. They have bullied us for too long. Jin said. His primordial destruction path and Luo Feng's primordial blade path are very different. Luo Feng's primordial blade path, destruction occupies 87%, life occupies 13%, and the life mysteries include life chi mechanism, life cutting, life entanglement, and other components. The mysteries derived from destruction focus on the pursuit of power. Jin's primordial destruction path, whether in terms of destruction or life, is vastly different from Luo Feng's, naturally forming a different Dao. Even while pursuing a similar Dao, different lords ultimately grasp different Dao. The innate primordial camp also senses our threat, so their battle formations prioritize survival and complement destruction, making them even more difficult to deal with, said Starlight, envisioning part of the future. Luo Feng and the others also knew. Among the ancestors, there are those skilled in life, defense, domain, immortality, world, and other powers. Once a defensive system is constructed with these ancestors at the core, the survival ability of the ancestors' battle formations will greatly increase. In the past, they relied on their absolute numerical superiority and disdainfully ignored defensive battle formations, focusing on aggressive offense, said Mo Man with a laugh. It forced us to be cautious, defending with all our might. Even so, we suffered defeat after defeat, with world groups falling one after another. Fortunately, the lords were undying and immortal, and even when a world group fell, they could quickly recover and gather to fight again. In the past, even ignoring their defensive formations, killing an ancestor was not easy for us, Jin lamented. Now it's different, said Yuan. The attending lords looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng, it will depend on you when the time comes, said Ming Huang with a smile. During sparring, they had witnessed the terrifying power of that blade. All things can be cut, unbreakable. Luo Feng's power surpasses limits, they cannot foretell Luo Feng's future. This time, Luo Feng will give them some surprises, said Starlight. What he didn't say was that even he couldn't foresee Luo Feng's future, only inferring some information from Luo Feng's influence on countless future timelines. This time, we need to not only shock the innate primordial camp but also intimidate other forces. Luo Feng understood this point. In this battle, he would cooperate with the battle formation with all his might, unleashing his utmost power. Within the Southern River Territory, a world-level primordial life was flying and collecting a large number of high-level primordial lives. Its body surface naturally spawned worlds where those high-level primordial lives temporarily resided. Under my command, I've only managed to gather 70% of the high-level primordial clan, and there's no time left. The world-level primordial life thought desperately, I must meet with the ancestors. If I'm late and don't leave in time, I might be slain by Lord Luo Feng from afar with a single blade. This world-level primordial life immediately tore open a space-time channel to travel. Hurry, hurry, hurry. I must rendezvous, we must leave the Southern River Territory within 20 days. The innate primordial clans on the border of the Southern River Territory had some time, but the clans in the core region were panicking, their time was too tight. They had to ensure their travel, then, with the remaining time, try to take away as many resources and gather as many clans as possible. Ancestors, can't we resist the cultivator camp? Are we just going to run away? Many world-level primordial lives were unwilling. They were the first major camp. Just scared off like that? The ancestors aren't resisting? Don't worry, the 9 emperors will lead many ancestors to face the challenge. We'll retreat temporarily. Once we win, we'll return, the ancestors responded one by one. The innate primordial camp was indeed gathering, with the 9 emperors participating. Many ancestors' true bodies were also in the fray. A total of 89 ancestors. It's the most perfect battle formation combination tested before. These ancestors, merely gathering their true bodies, took over 10 days. They took various forms, some beast-like, some resembling celestial bodies like stars or clouds, some akin to water flows or mountains, others humanoid. This cultivator camp is too arrogant to actively invade our territory, the infinite snake ancestor raged. In the past, the innate primordial camp had always oppressed the cultivator camp. This time, the tables turned, with the 8 lords occupying, even attempting to seize 1/10 of the endless primordial space in one go. Though the Southern River Territory only consists of 1,600 world groups, in the eyes of the innate primordial camp, its value isn't much different from the original territory of the cultivators. After all, resources in other aspects are still abundant. Infinite world. Amidst the clouds, a large serpent took shape. It was the infinite snake ancestor, sensing the cultivator territory from afar. 8 lords acting together? The infinite snake ancestor felt uneasy. Among the 8 lords, Yuan, Starlight, Mo Man, and Luo Feng could suppress all life force fluctuations, but Wulan, Jin, Ming Huang, and Nai Jiyu couldn't. In the endless primordial space, over 90% of ancestors couldn't conceal all life force. Any collective action would alert other powerful beings. This time, to intimidate the entire endless primordial space, Luo Feng and Yuan did not conceal their life force. 8 lords acting together? What are they up to? At this moment, all sides were on guard. The weakest of the 8 lords ranked in the top 20 in combat strength, and the strongest was in a league of his own. The 8 of them together could suppress the Ice Peak camp's 12 undying and undying existences and 26 ancestors combined. The 8 lords made no attempt to hide, letting all sides observe as they sailed powerfully towards their target territory. Under Starlight's lead, they flew for about a day. We're here. Luo Feng and others arrived at the border of this territory. Southern River Territory, 1600 World Group, we of the Cultivator Camp claim it. Yuan directly transmitted his voice, echoing to all ancestors within this 1600 World Group, you must relocate quickly. If you do not leave, we will be forced to take action. In the endless primordial space, most regions are barren. Even if there are resources, they are so scarce that it's hardly worth the effort to mine them. Southern River Territory, resembling a heart in shape, contains approximately 1,600 world groups. In terms of world group density, it is second only to the cultivator's original territory. Outside the Southern River Territory is an extraordinarily vast wasteland. The flourishing Southern River Territory has 29 ancestors leading countless innate primordial factions, thriving here. They have long relied on this territory's resources for sustenance. The abundant source worlds of those 1600 worlds were originally their food, but due to the recent interception by Lord Luo Feng, they dared not consume them for the time being. What? The entire Southern River Territory, the Cultivator Camp wants it all. They demand we relocate quickly. The ancestors scattered throughout this territory were shocked, whether in their true bodies or dispersing, they were anxious. If you have not started relocating within 1 day, you will be killed without mercy. If you are still within the Southern River Territory after 20 days, you will still be killed without mercy. Yuan's cold voice echoed in the ears of these 29 ancestors and in the ears of over 230,000 world-level primordial lives. The threat of the 8 lords caused the ancestors of the Southern River Territory and the world-level primordial lives to panic. How could they provoke the 8 lords? The ancestors in this territory reported to the 9 emperors while also preparing to relocate. According to the demand of the 8 lords, relocation must begin within a day. They have been rooted here for so long that relocating in a short period is not easy, many long-managed mines must be abandoned. The dispersed clans can only try to gather as much as possible. Some clans in remote places, if they are world-level primordial lives, can travel to meet up with their clans on their own. As for the high-level primordial life, traveling is too slow, they simply can't reunite with the clan in time. The 8 lords stood in the void, their might spreading in all directions. Suddenly, avatars descended, exactly the 9 emperor avatars of the innate primordial camp. The 9 emperor avatars gathered. Yuan, what are you cultivator camp trying to do? The infinite snake ancestor shouted angrily. Southern River territory is part of our innate primordial territory, and you just say you'll occupy it. Ha ha. Yuan laughed. You innate primordial camp invaded our cultivator territory, wantonly slaughtered, devoured source worlds. Can we not occupy your territory? Yuan, you are going too far, the giant god emperor also said angrily. Southern River territory is a full 1600 world groups, and you forcefully occupy them. We indeed have over 100 ancestors, while you only have 8 lords. You don't need much resources, wouldn't 3600 world groups be sufficient? The infinite ancestor also said. Who says we lords don't need resources? Wulan sneered. According to you, you take 50% of the territory, and our cultivator camp gets only 10%. Nijiu laughed coldly. Do we have to fight after all? The silent extinction ancestor said coldly. Luo Feng said coldly, this Southern River territory is just the beginning. With the strength and potential of our cultivator camp, even 20% of the territory is too small. Just the beginning? You intend to occupy more. The 9 emperors were both shocked and angry. A bunch of avatars, stop spouting nonsense here. Starlight Lord waved his hand, directly annihilated the 9 emperor avatars. As they vanished, the avatars of the 9 emperors couldn't believe it. The arrogance of the cultivator lords was astounding. After all, we have to fight. Yuan said softly. According to the original plan, they must absolutely control 20% of the territory and command all source worlds in the remaining territory. To achieve this goal, mere words are useless. Such a vast territory? Claimed, just like that? The resistance faction could not tolerate this. Those 8 lords even said that occupying the Southern River territory is just the beginning. They find it insufficient, growled the giant god emperor. This battle will show them that we are the mightiest, said the inference fire ancestor, also irritated. This battle, too, was a show of force for the innate primordial camp. It was a declaration to all forces that endless primordial space, with their innate primordial camp, remained the strongest. Depart. The infinite snake ancestor, infinite ancestor, silent extinction ancestor, inference fire ancestor, initial, mother of spacetime, giant god emperor, black tide ancestor, primordial beast ancestor and 9 others commanded the selected 80 ancestors in forming a colossal battle array. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. Under the leadership of Mother of Spacetime, they grandly set out towards the 8 lords. At that moment, forces from other factions within the endless primordial space watched from afar. They are coming. The 8 lords were also waiting, anticipating this moment. This battle, too, was a show of force in the 8 lords' plans. In the endless primordial space, every ancestor and lord is attentively watching. This imminent great battle will completely influence the future power structure of the endless primordial space. It's almost here. The 89 ancestors of the innate primordial camp were watching from afar, representing the largest power in the endless primordial space. In the long years before, they occupied half the territory. Now, they face challengers, the cultivator camp with just 8 lords. The cultivator camp directly occupied the Southern River Territory's 1600 world group and also wanted to continue expanding, thoroughly inciting the entire innate primordial camp. For their common interest, they must go all out. Buzz tilde tilde tilde. A host of ancestors traversed over distant space and time, their killing intent surging to the skies. Kill. The twisted shadow of the infinite snake ancestor obscured the vast void. The moment they arrived, they didn't bother with words and immediately struck mercilessly, intending to annihilate the 8 lords of the cultivator camp. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. Space-time twisted and surged. The manipulation of space-time by the mother of space-time, the infinite snake ancestor, clashed with the Starlight Lord's manipulation, mutually affecting each other. There was also a vast and powerful formation quietly operating, as if the whole world was subtly assisting the Starlight Lord. Space-time manipulation, they have the advantage. The mother of space-time and the infinite snake ancestor were startled. In previous confrontations, the gap wasn't so significant. Yuan's formation now has an even greater influence on the world. The mother of space-time transmitted a message. At this moment, all ancestors took action. This time among the many ancestors participating in the battle, 5 mastered the highest level power of the life lineage, whether blood-colored, cyan, or green. 5 highest level life forces spread out, affecting every ancestor. Various defensive forces, undying power, power of the world, domains, etc., were in operation. There were 39 ancestors proficient in life-saving, who had coordinated time and again to form the best cooperative method. The many forces deployed by the 39 ancestors worked together as if they were one entity. Their domains are too strong, my formation can't penetrate. Yuan was somewhat surprised, transmitting, they now highly value life-saving methods. The innate primordial camp regarded the cultivator camp as a truly threatening opponent. Not considering victory, first considering defeat. Hence, life-saving was prioritized. The cooperation of 39 types of highest-level life-saving power caused the 8 lords to somewhat change color. Though each power was a weakened means of the primordial level Tao, the sheer number was daunting. Boom! 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 This group of ancestors coordinated with one another, numerous killing techniques directly descended. They abandoned many close combat techniques. For instance, the giant god emperor, primordial beast ancestor, and black tide ancestor coordinated to capture enemies up close. In the last war, they still dared to charge into the battle array of the cultivator camp. Now they dared not. They abandoned risky techniques, developing numerous collaborative killing techniques. Various illusions descended, infiltrating each lord's spiritual will, but all 8 lords had exceptional spiritual wills, able to discern the illusions. Yet the mixture of chaotic illusions and real scenes also slightly affected the lords. Boom tilde tilde tilde, with Yuan's assistance, leveraging Starlight Lord's spacetime control, this time ensnared many ancestors within the spacetime techniques. Numerous ancestors found themselves on paths of time development, each timeline a complete infinite primordial space where the self of the future resonated with the present self, affecting their power. Mother of spacetime, suppress his timeline interference. Infinite ancestor transmitted a message. With Yuan's formation assisting, and the Starlight Lord constantly burning his main battle avatar, his manipulation of the timeline is extremely strong this time. The mother of spacetime responded, she had done her utmost. Attack! Disregard everything else, full force attack. While ensuring safety, various coordinated techniques poured towards the 8 lords of the cultivator camp. There were all sorts of invisible poisons spreading, a few toxins even penetrated all barriers, directly infiltrating the physical bodies and souls of the cultivator lords. Their descended powers akin to the end of the world. Either overwhelmingly crushing everything, penetrating with a massive explosion, or silently eradicating all matter. There were also invisible forces affecting each lord, their bodies slowly decaying. There were also omnipresent forces, exploding again and again within the cultivator camp's battle array. There were also attacks following causality, and those targeting the soul. Occasionally, there was extremely terrifying destructive power that could directly pierce through Yuan's formation. Although Wulan and Luo Feng tried their best to fend it off, there were still destructive forces bypassing them, landing on other lords. Ha ha ha, Yuan and Luo Feng's power has increased significantly, making it much easier for us. Indeed, much better than before. Mo Man, Nai Jiyu, Jin, Ming Huang felt much more at ease now. Before Luo Feng became a lord, under this overwhelming assault, their injuries would continuously worsen, ultimately leading to defeat. But now the situation was completely different. These slight injuries? Not worth mentioning. The consumption of my main battle avatar is fully recovered in a blink. Yuan and the Starlight Lord were constantly in a state of burning their main battle avatars, consuming about 10% of their energy reserves per breath. Yuan's formation commanded the power of the 8 Lords, its might greater than before, reducing the attacks falling on the Lords. Starlight's advantage in space-time manipulation also made attacks on the Lords weaker. With Luofeng's treatments and supplementation of energy reserves, the Lords felt at ease, perceiving it as merely some frost and snow. The attack momentum of the innate primordial camp cannot threaten us. Yuan revealed a smile. Let's show them our power. Mo Man said. Time-killing array. Yuan commanded. The 8 Lords were very steady, only after blocking the attack from the ancestors' side did they counterattack. Their move was one of the 8 killing formations they had tested before, the time-killing array. Was ___. The formation was activated. Lord Mo Man's wave spread silently everywhere. No one could escape its surveillance. Sever. Luofeng also drew his blade. The blade light was incredibly concentrated, like a thread of silk. Blade light thread and the power of time and space achieve a perfect union, also resonating with the waves. Under the rules of the primordial void, the blade light thread even freely moves across timelines of past, present, and future, rendering many defensive techniques ineffective, unable to even touch the blade light. In the eyes of the ancestors, they found this blade light attacking simultaneously from different timelines, untouchable. Can't see it clearly. Can't be blocked at all. They tried to dodge the blade light, tried to intercept it, but the blade light still attacked like an illusion. This blade light flows through different timelines. Unless all timelines in this time segment are blocked, it is bound to hit. Mother of Spacetime transmitted to her companions, everyone rest assured, the blade light can flow through different timelines, but to kill the enemy, it must return to the present timeline. Moreover, the blade light that can flow through different timelines does not carry much power. Sizzle. The blade light instantly descended upon the present timeline, slashing across an ancestor's body, splitting the ancestor's body in two. However, with the omnipresent life power, that ancestor instantly returned to their pinnacle state. The blade light power isn't strong, yet it can easily split me in two. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The blade light of the time-killing array flowed repeatedly, passing by ancestor after ancestor. In just 2 or 3 moments, it swept through all the ancestors. These ancestors were somewhat puzzled. Split into 2? With an ancestor's life force, even split into tens of thousands, they wouldn't die. Moreover, with multiple life-saving arrays working together, their survival ability had greatly improved. These 89 ancestors have all had some information gathered. Starlight transmitted, the power of the time-killing array may not be great, but its technique easily bypasses array defenses and gathers information quickly. Knowing oneself and the enemy better increases the odds of victory. Starlight immediately transmitted and laid out the plan. The battle between the 2 camps had Starlight determining the battle plan. Of course, even if everything was meticulously planned, the ultimate victory still depended on strength. Be careful. The 89 ancestors dared not be careless. Although previously the 8 Lords mainly took hits and retaliated only with the relatively weak time-killing array, able to split the ancestors protected by the formations in 2, even though there was no loss in strength, it still made them wary. Boom rumble tilde tilde tilde, this time, the power of the 8 Lords was noticeably more ferocious. The present timeline's momentum explosion was unrestricted. The battle arrays of the ancestors and the 8 Lords, numerous techniques clashed. The impact of the collision also made some ancestors watching from afar uneasy. As predicted, the strength of the cultivator camp has surpassed my Ice Peak camp. Ice Peak ancestor looked from afar, wondering if the 2/10 of the territory the Ice Peak camp currently occupied could still be defended. Even with 89 ancestors working together, it's only equivalent to the 8 Lords. Other ancestors watching confirmed the strength of the cultivator side at this moment. Suddenly, Luofeng burned the main battle avatar, and the blood shadow knife in his hand suddenly intensified, enhanced with the power of destruction world, and slashed out instantly. At this moment, all 8 Lords except Yuan burned their main battle avatars, and with the formation's cooperation, the full power was infused into the most sharp blood shadow knife in Luofeng's hand. The blood shadow knife contained unimaginable power, along with the ability to cleave through all matter and energy. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The formation of the 89 ancestors, though defensively strong, at this moment, the combined might of the 8 lords directed by Luo Feng was enough to cleave through all obstacles. Even the coordination of dozens of the highest-level powers couldn't stop this blade, all were severed. The blade light was too fast, instantly landing on the dark rock ancestor protected within layers of formations. At the instant it struck, waves, destruction, thunder, life-cutting, all kinds of powers erupted within the dark rock ancestor's body, despite the many life-saving powers covering from the formations assembled by the 89 ancestors attempting to save the dark rock ancestor. But the dark rock ancestor was the easiest ancestor to deal with, chosen by the cultivator side through the time-killing array. At the moment the blade struck, numerous powers erupted simultaneously, instantly annihilating the hidden life core. Its body vanished instantly, pulled away by time and space. Dark rock ancestor has fallen in battle. The innate primordial camp's number of ancestors reduced from 89 to 88, stunning these ancestors and shocking the other forces watching the battle. Even being so cautious, an ancestor has fallen. The 9 emperors found it hard to accept. This episode is end here.